My name is djthegamer 5000. I live on the Greg Gulf in the tall wooden box. This is my confession. If you're watching this video, the server is dead, destroyed by my illegal actions. I've been building a drug empire over the past 10 months, and using myself and other people involved as the chemist. Shortly after starting Breaking Bad, I decided to come to my friend with a rather shocking proposition. I asked that we use our Minecraft knowledge to make and sell illegal potions on the Chef SMP for money. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone who watched the first Chef SMP video. It took me 3 months to fully write, record, and edit the video, so I appreciate all the feedback, likes, and anyone who watched it in general. If you haven't seen the video, it does give a lot of context to this one, but that video isn't necessary to understand this. Since this video is only focused on a single topic of the Chef SMP, I'll be splitting it into 3 chapters instead of part 1's 11 chapters. Each chapter will display a different era of this secret empire I created, and how it revived, yet destroyed the server. The date is sometime in August 2022. I had just finished 2 shows and had to find something else to watch, which is where Breaking Bad comes in. I didn't really know much about the show besides Walter White, Jesse, and some memes I saw, but after watching a few episodes, I was instantly hooked. I'm not going to sit here and praise Breaking Bad for half an hour because all of you already know it's the greatest show of all time, but you should definitely watch it if you haven't already. Anyways, by the time I had gone to episode 4, I decided to change my skin in Minecraft to Walter White. If you've watched the show, you know that Walter shaves his head in episode 6, so I was so hooked to this show that I was already making my skin a version of a character I haven't even seen yet. But Walter's legal actions inspired me to do something similar to what he did in the SMP, and there was a drug equivalent in this server, which were potions that harm others, such as harming, poison, and weakness. I decided to do this for multiple reasons. First of all, I was the president at this point in time, so having a secret drug business would be pretty cool for the leader of the server. Another reason was that nothing too crazy was happening on the SMP at the time, so something exciting for me at least would be really nice and refreshing. The third and final reason is plain and simple. Money. But as we all know, Heisenberg doesn't do his business alone. He does it with his partner Jesse Pinkman. So I got the only person that would do it with me without snitching to the government and getting me arrested. And that man's name is Luckyman, also known as Luke. If you've seen the last video, you would know that Luke has gone to jail quite a few times. The first time was for burning down Gavin's house, which, by the way, Vlad has recently admitted to burning Gavin's house, so that's pretty funny. The other time was for killing the town pet. Luke also hasn't been the richest member. He once stole 4 gold blocks from the government. He also sued Matthew once for 20 diamond blocks, and lost. Luke was basically known as the joke of the server, so starting a secret drug business would show how he has nothing to lose. Luke had also started Breaking Bad the same day as me, so we were both inspired by the show. I proposed the idea to him, and he agreed. My original plan was to make a lab under someone else's property, so if we ever got caught, we could blame it on that. But Luke had a different plan, which was to make a secret underground lab far away from town. About a week later, we made a Discord server, and the first thing we did was decide on how we would go along with the business. Luke wanted me to sell the potions, but I quickly pushed that idea aside since I was literally the president of the server and could never sell potions to anyone. So Luke was a way better bet if we didn't want to get caught. After this discussion ended, Luke made us take an oath to each other. Please keep this in mind for later. Luke then had an idea of getting a person to always be able to defend us if things go wrong, basically like a lawyer, or, dare I say, Saul. I brought up Nick because Nick is 100% the most trustworthy person in the server, especially to me. Also, if we ever got into court, I could tell Nick what to say and he would say it. Nick was also fairly respected in the town, so the townspeople would most likely listen to what Nick had to say. The same day, Luke tried to start business with Gavin. I don't really know why he chose Gavin, but that's besides the point. Before admitting to having a drug business, Luke asked Gavin if he would buy harming potions if they were legal. Gavin said he would, but that didn't really help us at all, since we weren't exactly selling them legally. Then literally nothing happened business-wise in September because of school, I'm guessing. But straight into October, we were back in. I realized that getting Gavin, someone who was very involved in the town and politics, was a bad idea, so I tried to think of someone who wouldn't snitch and would actually buy potions. And that's where Angel comes in. I proposed the idea of selling potions to Angel to Luke, and he agreed. I then went into me and Angel's Snapchat DMs, since Snapchat deletes DMs after 24 hours, so it would be the best way of communicating for illegal things. I asked Angel if he wanted them, to which he agreed but wanted to know what the price was. I asked Luke and he said 5 diamonds per potion, which Angel called a scam, for good reason. Me and Luke then agreed on 3 until Angel bargained down to 2, and we made the deal. Angel's order consisted of 3 slowness potions, 3 harming, and 3 poison. Our business seemed to be doing pretty well until Angel got banned from the server not even a week later. Sure, I might have been the one to ban him, but it was for good reason.
Whoa!
What?
Angel, what?
Bro.
What are you doing, Angel?
Bro, what are you doing?
You guys can't stop me. I can't be arrested. You won't arrest me. Get back here, Luke. Get back here, Luke.
We also had to have a court case for Angel because he kinda committed a bunch of crimes during court. I was talking to Angel and he kept refusing to go to court. I said that if he doesn't want to be permanently banned, then I would suggest to agree to the court case, but then he told me to ban him, so I did, and the war was called off. Thankfully. Well, we were kind of at a dead end, so we decided to get Nick as our saw to at least progress a little bit. Once he was added to the business, I started to work on my plan B, which was to make an alt account and add it to the Chef SMP server, but tell everyone that I wasn't allowed to say whose alt it was. Through that, I would sell anonymously to random people. In retrospect, this idea was absolutely awful, and I really don't know why I went through with it, but I did, and it worked for a good 5 minutes until Gavin went into his nerd mode and went on some website to find the exact time the account was made, which was like right before I added the alt. I then panicked and tried to make fake DMs with Luke, but I accidentally sent the unedited picture, so I just owned up to it and got clowned on. Well, we were at another dead end, so the next day we just went back to plan A and Luke asked Gavin again. Gavin still didn't want any, but he still told Luke to make them just in case we ever had a war. Then I remember that I asked Elias a few months ago, which he said no to, but still never snitched because back then he was loyal to me. But now I had an idea of making arrows of harming, which could be way more useful to certain people, so I got Luke to ask Elias again. Just a few minutes later, Luke says 100 of each, have fun, and sends his DMs with Elias. Elias tried to get our whole stock, but ordered 100 of each potion after Luke said we have unlimited stock. I was incredibly confused until Luke said that Elias told him that he had been selling illegal potions ever since he wasn't voted president, which is when I knew that he was lying. Then Elias literally DM'd me and told me that he was messing with Luke and telling him that he was a drug dealer on the SMP, which put me in the weirdest position ever. Elias was telling me how gullible Luke was, and I was agreeing, even though it was literally my idea for Luke to ask Elias, but Elias had no idea. For some reason, me and Luke still thought Elias was being serious, so I made plans to put all of the potions in an underground chest for him, since Luke was in jail and couldn't. After Luke told Elias that, Elias DMs me and completely snitched on Luke. Elias's plan was for the government to arrest Luke right after he was released from prison, then have a court case for his drug empire. Elias also revealed that he told Steven, who was in the government at the time, and they thought Luke's secret worker was Gavin. The only thing Luke really had going for him by this point is that he never made any potions, so the most he could get arrested for was conspiracy to sell drugs. And since we now have Nick, we could easily have him be Luke's lawyer and fake a whole court case where I pretend to believe Nick and Luke and declare Luke not guilty since I'm the president and have the power to do that. In the following weeks while we were waiting for Luke's sentence to end, I ended up making a deal with Angel that if I let him back on the server, he had to buy potions off us. He agreed, but alongside that, he tried to join our business. He said that he would build us more secret bases, get us more brewing stands and blaze rods, and he said that he would do it all in 1 to 3 days. I didn't really care for what Angel said he was going to do, but him being a part of our business was definitely something I was considering. But I made sure that he got our money before he got involved in the business, which was 6 netherite. Going into November, Luke's case was coming up, so I told both Elias and Luke to get lawyers, to which Luke said Jack would be his lawyer. Thankfully, I forced him to correct us right after, and the court case took place a few days later. Just kidding, it didn't actually happen, since when the court case was supposed to happen, Steven, who was Elias's lawyer, joined the call and showed him and his friends pushing Elias on a swing. I told them that they had 15 minutes to get on or Luke went free, and Steven told me to let him go and told me I don't have a life. That was a pretty easy way for us to get out of legal trouble, but now we were back to the same dilemma that we were in multiple times already. We had nobody to sell to. We'd worry about that later, but for now we were finally getting our money from Angel. Well, at least I was. Luke was already getting into more legal trouble and had to pay Angel 3 netherite to be his lawyer. He also ended up losing the case, so it wasn't Luke's best day financially. Well, anyways, we decided to add Angel to the business and have him be our Gus. Me and Luke would cook and Angel would distribute. Due to Luke's court case, he now owed Matthew 20 diamond blocks in a month, so our plan was to sell enough potions in that time to be able to pay for Luke's case. Because we needed to get to work fast, I assigned everyone jobs. Luke would get the materials for the potions, I would make the potions, Angel would sell the potions, and Nick would be our lawyer if we ever got into legal trouble. Me, Luke, and Angel would split the money evenly, and Nick would get discounted potions since he wasn't always working for us. But now we were back to the never-ending question: who the hell are we gonna sell to? We couldn't sell to Gavin because he wouldn't buy, we couldn't sell to Elias because he'd snitch, we couldn't sell to Jack or Steven because they were in the government, and we couldn't sell to Anthony, Powell, Mache, Evan, Joshua, or Blad because they wouldn't care enough to buy. So who the hell wouldn't snitch, wasn't in the government, and actually had the money to pay for these potions? And that's where Spack comes into our story. If you watched my first Chef documentary, you would know that Spack really likes to grind. On an SMP prior to Chef, he got multiple people full netherite armor in like 3 days of the server starting, and on Chef, he ordered 1,000 mending books from my shop. So when I asked him if he wanted any harming potions, he obviously agreed since he's a nice guy, and he made an order of 1,000 potions. He also made a specific order of invisibility potions, which were legal. So we would be making 250 harming potions, 250 poison potions, 250 slowness potions, and 250 invisibility potions. I guess the invis potions kinda helped, since if we ever got caught, we would probably receive less time than if we made 1,000 illegal potions. Angel wanted to help get the materials alongside Luke, so I assigned both of them to get different materials. On that same day, Angel got both his and Luke's materials, so I had to assign Luke different materials to get. After a few days of Luke not doing anything, I swapped Luke and Angel's jobs since Angel had already gotten so many materials. So if he didn't just get all the materials, then evening out the money would be way more difficult. But Angel didn't like this change because he didn't want to get brown mushrooms, so I just went back to Luke to getting materials as well. Only problem was that Luke was incredibly lazy. Even though he was 20 diamond blocks in debt, he wasn't doing shit. 2 weeks after I switched the jobs back, Luke still had not done anything. I was honestly tired of Luke by this point. He sucked at selling, got caught all the time, and delayed our business by not doing anything. So I decided to secretly stop business with Luke and started up another business with me, Nick, and Angel. Angel would get materials like always, I would cook, and Nick would replace Luke by selling. Now we were in December and our business sort of slowed down since we didn't have to worry about making the potions before Luke's money was owed, but I still reminded Angel a few times to get the mushrooms. Throughout the next couple of weeks, Luke kept mentioning the brown mushrooms to me in school. This panicked me, so I got Nick to help me make a new lab. We made this lab about 30 blocks under Gavin and Luke's mall because we wanted it close enough to where we didn't have to travel, but hidden enough to where we wouldn't get caught. Over the next couple of weeks, I kept reminding Angel to get the brown mushrooms, but he was pulling a Luke and not doing anything. But we had other matters to worry about now. Me and Luke were talking on Snapchat one day, and I don't have the full conversation because when you screenshot something on Snapchat, it tells the other person. But I assumed that we were talking about our drug business because I still have one thing that Luke said. I will stand by our agreement if you continue to cook. What he meant by this was pretty much that he wouldn't snitch on me if I continued to cook, and obviously by this point I wasn't going to cook for him anymore. I couldn't lie to Luke forever, so he would eventually figure out that I'm either lying to him or that I don't want to cook anymore, and it would be over for me. So I made a plan. Step 1, screenshot the whole Discord server chat, then me, Angel, and Nick would all delete our messages, so pretty much Luke's only proof of us being involved was a Discord server of him talking to a wall. Step 2, Angel and Nick had Elytra so we can easily flee to a mushroom biome thousands of blocks away. And step 3, turn Luke in before he turns us in. We accomplished step 1, but step 2 was going to take some time. And thankfully, someone was nice enough to do step 3 for me. During a conversation with Gavin, Luke's supposed harming potion business was brought up. I approached the conversation from an outsider's perspective and didn't snitch on Luke at all. All I said was that if the government had enough evidence, Luke could have been permabanned. That reminded Gavin of some funny DMs Luke sent Gavin a few months back. Even though Gavin bribed me for the screenshots, I paid up and Luke was now officially done. I also paid Gavin more money for him to send a screenshot of Luke's old lab, which was probably just made by Gavin, so I paid him more, but whatever. Now Luke's court case was scheduled to be in a few days, but since I was the judge, I wasn't going to give him a big sentence, obviously. Even though Luke was sort of my enemy now, I had to give him a slightly shorter sentence than I would, unless he'd snitch. But before talking to Luke about the case, I decided to get rid of the last known piece of evidence, which was our lab. And the only way of getting rid of the lab was to blow it up, of course. I also decided to further Luke's case by getting Angel to snitch, which again is still not me snitching, so I never went against our oath. Angel made up some stuff that Luke was making drugs while they were running their casino, which actually tied up pretty well since there was brewing stands in the basement of the casino. Well anyways, the next day, which was Christmas, I told Luke that he could snitch on Angel if he wanted to, but that he shouldn't snitch on me or Nick since we didn't snitch on him, to which he vaguely agreed to. A couple days go by and I have another conversation with Luke where he tries to convince me to give him less time, to which I tell him that I can't be biased since I have to look like I'm not guilty. Luke tried making multiple deals with me, also known as bribing, but I wouldn't agree because if I gave him a really short time, then I would look biased and that would be suspicious. But I did tell him that he should snitch on Angel because he'd get less time for giving info. Honestly, I don't know why I said that looking back, since I wanted nothing to do with Luke business-wise, yet Angel still never got the brown mushrooms. But anyways, the next day I was at Jack's house and we were playing Chef, so I roamed around while me and Jack were talking. I then decided to conveniently roam around where Luke's lab was, which we were going to use in the court case. Again, I technically never snitched, but I was definitely testing my luck. Speaking of luck, it was Luke's court case tomorrow, and since I slept over at Jack's house, I was on his PC while the case took place. Sadly, Jack's recording froze, so what I'm about to tell you is something you just have to trust me on. But this is what I remember. The court case started, I brought up witnesses like Elias, Gavin, and Angel to show their evidence against Luke, and then we told everyone where Luke's lab was, and everyone wanted to see it. Now what was Luke's response to all this? He snitched. On me. Not on Angel. Not on Nick. Not even on Spack. He snitched on me. When he first said this, not many people believed him, so he turned on his camera and tried to show us the Discord server, which was just a wall of text from only Luke, which went according to plan. But I kinda forgot to delete a bunch of DMs that me and Luke had about the drug business, so after realizing, I tried to delete them, which Jack saw me do. Then Luke showed these DMs, which exposed me being a part of the business. He also then showed DMs of Spack being the buyer, which was even more of a snitch-ass move, since Spack did absolutely nothing to Luke. Well now, we were both done, and we were sentenced to 10 months of prison each. The funniest thing about this is that Luke would have gotten less than half of 10 months if I sentenced him, so his snitching just made his case worse. Thankfully, since I was rich, I was able to bail myself out. But as we all know, Luke was quite the opposite of rich, so he was stuck in jail till Halloween 2023. Now that Luke's chapter is done, I'm not going to be mentioning him for a while, so here's a final goodbye. Fuck you, you bitch-ass snitch who thought you were going to gain something from snitching on me, even though you swore multiple times that you wouldn't snitch. I'm glad you were never released. Well, anyways, later that day, Matthew DM'd me and told me that I should start up the drug business again with him, since he's the biggest criminal on the server anyways and has nothing to lose. And I didn't think that was a bad idea. At all. I had Matthew swearing his grandpa to not snitch, and now we were in the third phase of the business. After what had just happened, Angel no longer wanted to be a part of the business, which I don't blame him for, and Nick was originally skeptical, but he eventually agreed. So pretty much Matthew would just be replacing Angel and getting materials. In other news though, since I was no longer the president, Greg Austin literally turned into a ghetto. Jack decided to add Steven's friend, and Steven acts like a different person when he's around, so they pretty much just destroyed the town and were both sentenced to 6 months in prison. Jack pretty much just gave up as the president and just made me president again because he needed time to think about how to run a nation. So now the government was back to how it was before the presidential election. Back to the drugs, I told Matthew that we needed 8 stacks of brown mushrooms, which he said he could probably do in a day, so I already liked Matthew more than Luke and Angel combined. Someone who wanted to gain money and gain it fast. Me and Matthew also made plans to spend the next 10 months framing Luke for a crime that he didn't commit, so once Luke was released, he would be pretty much instantly banned. I don't know if you could tell, but I was pretty mad at Luke at this point in time. Speaking of me hating Luke, after he was arrested, Gavin gave Luke's share of the mall to Elias until Luke was released. Only problem was that I was rich, so I was able to buy Luke's share off Elias for 5 diamond blocks, so now Luke's karma was really coming into play. Anyways, Matthew started getting the mushrooms and was able to get almost half of them in half an hour, so I knew that we were going to be doing business in the next couple weeks. I also refined my plan of fleeing to the mushroom biome. I said that we should only use that plan if we were caught of mass distribution. Anything else we could just pay Jack off. Later that day I made a full material list for Matthew, which was 5 stacks of brown mushrooms, 3 stacks of spider eyes, 5.5 stacks of sugar, 5 stacks of netherwort, 1 stack of blaze rods, 2 stacks of carrots, and 10 gold blocks. Matthew said that he could get all of those materials pretty fast if he made them lab into a netherwort farm, which meant that we were really getting into business. But since everything was moving so fast and Matthew was likely to be done getting the materials in the next day or two, we had to start planning on how we were going to launder our money, since if Jack saw that we randomly gained hundreds of diamond blocks and made hundreds of potions, we'd be done. I didn't really have to think about it much, since I could just use my share of them all as money laundering, which made Matthew compare me to Gus. But we needed to launder Matthew and Nick's money too, since Matthew didn't have any source of income and literally nobody bought from Nick's shop. Matthew wanted to make a shop called The Car Wash, which obviously is a reference to Walt and Skylar's car wash, which is how they launder their money. But since cars aren't in Minecraft, Matthew made his business about cleaning people's houses and chests. Looking back, it's pretty obvious that this wasn't going to make over 100 diamond blocks, but at least it was something. While discussing this with Nick, I thought of a genius idea, which was making a potion shop. If Nick made a legal potion shop, then I could just tell Jack that I worked for Nick for if he ever looked at the files, since the files never specified which potions were made. But sadly, this idea never went anywhere because I talked to Spack a few hours later and he said that he only wanted me to come to his house and sell to him, which meant that we pretty much had to kick Nick out of the business. This was pretty stupid of Spack and I felt bad for Nick, but if I'm being honest, it was pretty obvious that Nick didn't care too much about the business from the start. And on the plus side, me and Matthew were now both making 500 more diamonds each. But at the same time, Matthew now had to cook half the potions, while I cooked the other half and sold the potions to Spack. Well, now me and Matthew were the only ones involved in the business, so it was going back to more of a Walter and Jesse companionship. A few hours later, Matthew was done getting all the materials and was ready to cook. I would make invisibility and weakness, and he would make poison and harming. Me and him both started to cook at the same time at about 1 a.m. But this caused our whole business to almost fall apart. While we were under the mall, Gavin logged onto the server. And I also might not have covered the hole that I left in the mall. So if Gavin was anywhere near the mall and went into the employees only room, we'd be done. But thankfully Gavin saw my username when I was almost done digging up from the hole, and I just used the excuse that I was in a cave. But now Matthew was stuck down there and didn't want to risk cooking, so we pretty much just had to wait until Gavin got off. But another extremely close call happened, because there was still a 10-block hole above where the lab was, and Gavin tried to fix it, but I told him to go work on the mall renovation that I would fix the hole. Me and Matthew were completely panicking, but Gavin didn't suspect anything else, so we were fine. For now. Well, anyways, the next day I finished my 500 potions, and now we were just waiting on Matthew to make like 300 more and we'd be good. But I texted Spack and he said that he didn't have the diamonds, that he'd pay me next week, so I told Matthew that he could wait a little bit before cooking if he wanted. But Matthew only waited 2 days, then finished cooking, so now all we were waiting for was Spack to get his diamonds. We also both decided that we didn't want to continue business after this, so once I sold the Spack, we'd be out of the drug world completely. After this, about a week goes by and I hear nothing from Spack, even though I had texted him multiple times. Matthew started to get worried that Spack was going to snitch, which I told him that he wouldn't, since I knew Spack well enough to know that he would never snitch on me and he had no reason to anyways. But Matthew and I still made a plan to plant hundreds of TNT under Greg Austin, blow it up, and flee to the Mushroom Island if we did get caught. A few days later he finally answered, but it didn't really help at all, since all he said was that he didn't know when he would get the money. I was really lost on what to do, because it's not like we could sue him if he never paid us. The only solution I could think of was to blow up his base and steal all of his stuff. And even if we did do that, there was still another question. What would we do with all the potions? I made plans just to sell the invisibility potions since they were legal, but for the illegal potions, we would put them in a chest in the middle of the town, pretty much turning ourselves in and fleeing. I don't really know why I wanted this to happen instead of just hiding them, but it was probably because the server was practically dead at this point and I just wanted something interesting to happen, especially since we worked so hard for these potions, so nothing to happen with them would be really disappointing. Then I disregarded that plan because I thankfully realized how stupid it was relatively fast. But later that day I thought of a new plan for getting rid of the illegal potions, and that was to sell them to Steven. You might be confused since Steven is in jail, but the plan was that Matthew would DM Steven and tell him that if Matthew broke a map, then Steven would have to buy the potions off us, and Matthew is pretty much the only person that Steven wouldn't snitch on, maybe besides Elias. Steven also played on the SMP a lot, so this could be a chance for him to be able to play before he was actually released. Matthew agreed to this plan, and at the same time also casually admitted that he was originally going to snitch on me but didn't, only because it was too much to screenshot, which honestly made me trust him a lot less. Back to the SPAC situation, the next day I got on to try and work on getting the 1,000 mending books that I still owed SPAC. Finally I got enough emeralds, but it turned out that Jack didn't even have a mending villager, so unless I could find one, I practically scammed SPAC. I told Matthew about this, and it really got me thinking about how much I wanted to destroy SPAC's base. So Matthew called me to talk about everything, and during this 2-hour call, we may or may not have done what I just said I wanted to do.
Oh my god.
Ooh, yeah, baby. That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about.
Whoa. Oh. What the hell?
What? What's up?
Nothing. That's cool.
Cinder blocks.
$500,000.
$500,000. I'm funny, Walt. Oh, stop playing. Let's go.
Nothing in there.
Go to like the WoW. I'm gonna go to the WoW. Come with me.
Yeah, exploded, bro. Just actually, oh, there's wood down there though, right?
This shit light on fire? God.
I know it hit. Oh.
That did nothing.
Yeah.
Vlad told me that he was going to watch this video, so I just want you to know that what we did to your house was nothing personal. That's honestly your fault for sharing a house with a guy who doesn't pay the guys that he owes money to. After us doing this, SPAC was pretty much out of the picture for buying the potions. Even if he never found out that it was us who destroyed his base, he would either stop playing because of what we did, or he would worry about what happened to his house more than buying drugs, so we would never get the money if we kept trying to sell to him. So we went back to our Steven plan and Matthew DM'd him. A day went by and Steven wasn't answering Matthew. I even phone texted Steven and told him that Matthew wanted Steven to look at their DMs, but Matthew didn't tell me what for. And that didn't work either. But Steven was sending things to another server, so it was pretty obvious that he wasn't interested. So we were back to brainstorming ideas again, which is where I thought of selling to Snippy. Yes, you heard me, Snippy. One of the original people to join the server and get banned and get added back and get banned and get added back. But the third time he got added back, he stole our beacon and was never banned again since he had the beacon. So technically, if Snippy wanted to cause havoc on the already dead server, he could buy the potions off us for a small price of 2,250 diamonds. Matthew asked Snippy, but he said he didn't want them, and by this point Matthew wanted to give up. There was really no hope in anyone on the server being as insane as Spack and buying 750 illegal potions that they couldn't use, so it was seeming like we were never going to get our money. But I was still determined that there was some way that we could still sell these potions, so I made one last plan, and that was to sell them to Luke. After Luke was arrested and I became president again, he asked me over and over and over again to be let out, and kept saying that he would do anything. And I kept saying no, because at the time, I would be way more happy with him being in jail than him doing anything else for me. But now I was in need of selling these potions, so he would really be our only option left. The plan would pretty much be the same as Steven's. We would break him out and he would get us the money. I went to Snapchat DMs and asked Luke, and he agreed but tried having his deadline be Easter. It was January 17th at the time. But we ultimately agreed on St. Patrick's Day, because me and Matthew were not waiting 3 months for the money. And now all seemed well. I broke Luke out of jail shortly after, and he was off to spend the next 2 months getting the money, and me and Matthew could just play as we normally would till then. A few days later is when I released my Chef SMP documentary, which got a lot of praise from the people that actually watched the whole thing. Everything seemed to be going well that day, until about 4 hours later when Gavin tried declaring war on Luke, to which I responded by saying that he didn't have the president's permission. Gavin then said I wouldn't be president soon, and right after completely exposed me and Matthew. You might be asking how the hell he found out. Well, remember the time when me and Matthew were in the lab at 1 AM and Gavin logged on? Well, even though he didn't catch us then, he was still suspicious of what we were up to, and later on decided to look and see what was under there. And I don't think I need to explain the rest. He kept this a secret between him and Jack for a bit, but I guess I made him mad that he didn't have the permission to declare war, so he completely exposed my drug business in return, which honestly was a pretty good response. Well, now me and Matthew were fucked. All we could do now is either flee or go to court, and that brings us to... I chose the first option, but before fleeing I had to be extra careful. I called Angel and told him about the situation. That got him to get on so I can make sure that nobody else was on the server. Well, he did that and nobody was on, so I got my things and pets and fled. But I decided to commit some crimes before leaving. I burnt down Steven's house, the dock, and the court, then used my lighter and fled to the mushroom biome.
I'm fleeing right now. Oh shoot, it's about to break. It's about to break. Oh, it's gonna break. Wait. Oh my god. Yo, wait, what? Hold up, what? This wasn't even the one I was looking for. Yo! I didn't take the ender chest. I didn't take the ender chest.
What happened?
Yo, bro, I fleed, right? And I left my shulker box, which has like all of my money, bro. And I accidentally left it, bro. And my elytra is about to break. Oh god. Alright, whatever.
I'm trying to screw this.
Yeah, I'm going back.
It seemed like a horrible chain of events for you.
On the other hand, Matthew was working on getting an elytra to flee as well, and this is exactly why I wanted us to be prepared with elytras for if anything ever happened. Anyways, I decided to give Nick everything I owned in Greg Austin, just in case anyone tried to take my stuff or burn down my house. But that didn't really matter at all, because a couple hours later I talked to Jack and said that he'd ban me if I ran away, so I kinda had to go all the way back. Now I had absolutely no idea what to do. It was starting to seem like the only solution I had was doing jail time. I told Matthew that we should just take the jail time, because then Nick could break us out, but that was all I could think of. And if you've watched Breaking Bad, you know that Walt never saw the inside of a jail cell, which was his goal the whole time, so my goal, which was to be the Minecraft Heisenberg, would also fail. But now we had another problem to worry about. Matthew was stuck in the end, and my elytra was broken. So I was stuck thousands of blocks away from Greg Austin, and Matthew was stuck in a different dimension. But I could still progress law-wise by talking to Nick about the court case, since he was our Saul after all. At this point I only had one defense for Nick to use, and that was that they technically couldn't prove that we were the ones that made those potions. Since in the files, it doesn't specify what potions that you make, only that you made potions in general. Anyways, the next day I changed my mind about Nick breaking us out, because I realized that being broken out while everyone thinks you're in jail is not fun at all. And SMP stands for survival multiplayer for a reason. It's only fun with other people. So if I'm broken out, what the fuck would I do? But I remembered that we still had our deal with Luke, so I could hide all the potions somewhere, go to jail, stay in jail for 2 months, then get Luke to give the money to Nick, then Nick could bail me and Matthew out. This could definitely work, but I still wanted to work with Nick to try to get the least time possible. Well, I was back in Greg Austin, but not arrested yet, so I did as many things as I could before having to go to court. First, I fixed all of the things that I destroyed in the town, and then I hid all of the potions under the Donda Church, and I would tell Luke where these were when he got the money for us. This was a very time-consuming task, and it took a few hours to do, and I was on with Elias while I did this. I was fine with telling Elias what I was up to since I trusted him not to snitch. But as I was putting away the potions, Elias also decided to commit some crimes because he felt like it.
Damn, what a loser.
Steven would hate me to this day if I never found the files, so. You know, I burnt down like half the town last night because I thought they were gonna ban me, and then Jack told me he wasn't gonna ban me, so I replaced it all. Like, I rebuilt the whole port.
Bro.
Oh my god.
I don't think there should be any more court.
Well.
Why does this exist?
I know, I burnt that down too.
You break these wood stairs.
I know, bro, everything you're burning right now, I already burnt last night, but I replaced it. So this put me in a pretty bad situation, because if Jack checked my files, he would instantly think that I committed all of those crimes, since I did burn down some things the other day. So I kinda had to admit to Jack what I did so that he wouldn't arrest me. He seemed very suspicious at first, but ended up going into the files and seeing that Matthew and Elias pulled that stats that sorta lined up with what happened. But obviously I couldn't tell Jack why Matthew's stats were like that, cause... yeah, I don't have to explain. Well, anyways, a day went by and I realized that Jack and Gavin really weren't doing anything about me and Matthew's case. So I decided that I should take advantage of this time and try to get as many diamonds as possible so I won't have to go to jail when the court case happens. The next day I was back to working on my court case and I started by asking Jack if I would be getting less or more than a year in jail. And he said more. This made me go to Nick and discuss defenses he could use in court. First of all, they technically couldn't prove who the person that made the legal potions was, even though it was me, but obviously I wasn't going to say that. We also never sold any of the potions, and due to some of my research, we should get 9 months maximum just for making the potions. I determined that by looking up the amount of time someone gets for third-degree narcotics with an intention to sell, which is usually around 1 to 9 years, and whenever I had to determine a time for someone in Chef, I would just convert the years to months, so we should be facing 9 months max. Another way I could get less time is because of the completely unfair sentencing I had received a few weeks ago for my court case with Luke, because I had received 10 months for conspiracy of manufacturing narcotics, which I really should have received 2 to 18 weeks. Throughout the next week, there still wasn't any advances court-wise from Jack or Gavin, so I kept planning how the court case should go with Matthew. I told him to plead the fifth to anything Jack or Gavin asked of us and let Nick do all the talking, since that was really the point of us having a lawyer in general. All of the defenses that Nick was going to use in court were defenses I came up with. The only reason I wanted Nick to be my lawyer is that it would sound a lot more believable if someone who had no affiliation with the business, in the public eye at least, were to be defending us with solid points. Matthew didn't care too much about court at this point either, since he was still stuck in the end and I never helped him. But I yet again couldn't since I was out mining. I took a break for about a week, but when I came back, I decided to commit more crimes by using extra to get way more diamonds. Because unless Matthew told Jack, that there would be literally no way for them to prove that I was using extra. So I could just get way more diamonds and get them fast. We decided that I would bail Matthew out with my X-ray money, and I would take the bail fee out of the money he earns from Luke so it was fair, since Matthew was really poor and couldn't pay for the bail himself. But while mining, I fell in lava with 8 stacks of diamonds on me, so the only people that could get me were Matthew and Nick. And Matthew was obviously stuck in the end, but he decided to use his pickaxe that he said was broken before and was able to get back and save me. So all of that talk about him being stuck was for basically nothing. But that's besides the point, since I was able to continue mining and got 18 stacks of diamonds, which combined with my pre-existing money was 16 months of bail. So there was like a 95% chance I wasn't going to jail now. Later I asked Jack when me and Matthew's court case was happening, since I was ready by this point, and he told me to ask Gavin. I was confused, so I said that it should be up to Jack since Jack was going to be the judge, but Jack revealed to me that he wasn't going to be the judge, which gave me a golden opportunity. I asked who the judge would be, and then he suggested Nick, but Nick was my lawyer. Then he suggested Angel, and I agreed. Angel's like Nick because he's not affiliated with the business in the public eye, so I could easily get Angel to give me and Matthew a shorter sentence than Jack would have given us. I talked to Angel after and he agreed, which was really good news. Now me and Nick could switch up the plans to say more stupid shit that Angel would pretend to believe, like the fact that I burned all of my potions, which technically could be falsely proved since in the files I picked up all of the potions and used a bunch of flint and steel, which obviously was because I hid the potions and destroyed Spack's house, but they would never know that. I also decided that Angel should find me instead of arresting me, since I can still be president if he did that. I talked to him about it and we ended up agreeing with 6 sacks of diamonds each. Nothing notable happened for 3 days, but it was now time for the court case, and... You're the judge.
So I'd like to call Emroldo here, and...
What am I doing?
Your case.
You two have been brought to court because we have become thought to believe that you are part of a drug cartel.
No.
Oh my god, Daniel.
Or has interacted with a drug cartel.
Nuh-uh.
I would like to bring Daniel here and state your case.
Your Honor?
Yeah.
I plead the fifth.
Oh. Oh.
But that's outside of court. Not
No,
inside.
it's not.
Oh.
You invoke your right to remain silent? No, I'll just
Yes,
have to
I
give
do.
the case to Emroldo.
No, I have a lawyer, Angel.
Okay. Let the lawyer talk. Let the lawyer talk.
So, according to actual laws,
Mm-hmm.
like the legal law for like holding drugs is 1 to 9 months. So you should not give anything more than
1 to
that.
9. Okay. Objection.
Okay.
It's in real life. It is 1 to 9 years for holding
Oh.
illegal substances.
Yeah, years,
But in
we
Minecraft,
don't
when
do
I
that in
would
years.
sentence people, I would equate years to months. So
Well, yeah, so that's what we mean by that. It also burnt the potions, so there was no more potions.
All right, that makes sense. So you never sold the potions?
He had never sold the potions.
me and Matthew.
Yeah, neither one. No one has sold anything.
All right.
It does not say the specific potions in files, so you don't know what they created.
Would you like to say anything to this, Emroldo?
Even though you burned them after you made them, you still made them, which is illegal. So
Okay, objection.
And by you saying also that it's that a 1 to 9 months and you should have none left is none less basically proves that you were guilty and you're just owning up to it.
Okay, I never said I wasn't guilty.
Emroldo, do you have any proof that it was DJ and or Farmer Cat?
Yes, I do believe that I have a few screenshots, and this was all under the law.
And you said you had file proof that they made this?
They already owned up to it, so I don't feel the need to send that. But
Well, the judge
send
asked
it
you,
anyway.
so
Yeah, send me it. All right, can I see the file evidence? I've been waiting for like a good
I'm
5 minutes.
looking for it. I don't think I have it. I don't think I have a screenshot of it. I just have like me talking about it. No, I do not have proof of it, Your Honor.
Do you? Okay, first of all, do you plead guilty?
wait, let me unmute Matthew for this.
No, you're
All right,
pleading.
Matthew, you're unmuted now.
It was Luke. It was Luke. It was Luke. It was Luke.
All right, fine. I plead guilty.
Okay.
It's
I know
up,
Matthew's not here, but I don't care that he's not here, so I'll just give you a sentence real quick. So I'm gonna give you 2 options. You get 5 months of jail time.
Yo,
It's either-
5
no,
months? Yo, Angel.
Yeah, but he didn't sell them.
But
He
he's
wasn't
done it. But
trafficking
he's
them.
done it before, so he should get way more time.
No. Hold
But
on.
didn't you
Wait,
forgive him for
Hang
that?
on.
Nick has something
Yeah.
to say. Listen to Nick.
I have something to say.
Okay.
When I was doing some research, like the first time that he did it, since he never even made potions the first time and it was just a conspiracy, you gave him way too long for what he did as a conspiracy. Because you never really, he never actually did anything.
Actual.
So as of
Potions.
something, like, now that he actually did it, but since you gave him such longer, like a much longer sentence before, you should.
No, but last time he didn't even cook. But this time,
Yeah,
he
Exactly,
also-
but I got 10
no.
months last time.
Yeah, 10 months is a lot when we figured out that it shouldn't even be 10 months for this crime.
Yo, it should be at least a year though.
No, it should
No,
not.
it shouldn't.
Bro,
It doesn't matter. We already determined that it's 1 to 9 months anyway, and you gave him more than that the first time.
listen. Listen to me. What if you were to sentence him for the first time, right? And you didn't see that he cooked, right? What would you give him?
He gave
When
me
we
10
found that
months.
out?
I think I
Yeah,
gave him
you
10
10
months,
months,
but that
but-
might have been a little bit unfair because we did not know if he cooked. So
That
I would
is-
give
I
him
didn't.
7
I didn't.
to 9.
What my point
So,
is since you
why
gave
would
him
you-
too much the first time when you didn't even know, now that you know,
Now
he
that I
cooked.
know that he cooked,
Yes,
he
but
cooked the
you
potion,
gave him.
he deserves
you gave him
way
how
more
much of
time.
Yeah, but
that.
I should get time off because of how much time you gave
You
me
should get
last time.
Yeah, and
No, that's
Yeah.
not how that works, bro.
no,
Oh, that's
no,
unfair.
but
You gave me an
don't
unfair
put time in.
sentence. You gave me an unfair sentence.
Technically, if you were to be found guilty on false charges and they give you a long period of jail time, that would have nothing to do if you got in trouble again. Technically, they just give you like a compensation, like so.
Yeah, but he never gave me compensation.
Huh?
So yeah, that's true. He never did give you compensation. He did make the potions, but he never trafficked the potions.
He would have if
No.
we didn't catch him, bro. Why do you
So-
think he made the business? in
Yeah,
the
but it
first
doesn't
place?
matter if I would have. I didn't do it.
Yeah, that's not the point.
So,
It's whatever state you caught him in is the point where it's at.
so 8 months, or you pay us with 8 stacks of diamonds to the government.
No, bruh.
Okay.
That's not how that works though.
Does that seem fair? enough?
But he's
also-
allowed to find me.
Matt is a different case. Matthew's case is different with his
Not really.
sentencing. Daniel isn't. Yeah,
Because Matthew, just because Matthew's never gotten arrested for this, he's committed a lot of crimes in the past.
But he didn't cook.
No.
That doesn't.
What do you mean he didn't
difference,
cook?
though. We just talked about.
Why did he
We
cook?
talked about how.
Bro.
I don't cook.
Okay,
I don't cook.
so you're telling why was Matthew here if he didn't cook?
Because me and Gavin believed that he was like buying from you and shit.
So, bro,
Yeah, but-
what proof do you have of that?
Bro, I have 15 fucking dollars.
What proof do you have that I made them? Then
Bruh, in the files, genius.
show me
You
them
interact-
and
you
show me
interact-
Matthew's files too.
Okay, let me just show me the file so we can clear up a
Show
bunch
me
of
both
stuff.
of our files.
What has he done? What has he done?
Well, Jack has to check files for proof of that.
No,
I haven't done
what we mean
anything.
before that, we mean like in the past.
Bro, Matthew literally burnt down half the town.
Arson.
No, I didn't. I wanna see how many
Yeah,
pork
If
chops
Matthew,
I
if
got.
Matthew was getting convicted for buying, then he should have had a separate court case. I don't understand this.
Okay, well then we'll give him a separate court case then.
Why does he get 5 additional months? Why would he get 5 additional?
He explained that already.
Because 5 additional years. And like Daniel said earlier in the beginning of the case, he said that he always converts those into months.
But like I just talked about how Daniel got an unfair sentence.
Alright, just
which
don't
means
bring
he
that up
can-
anymore. I'll take compensation after. Okay, I'll take
Yeah.
compensation after.
But the first one was an unfair sentencing, like you said. So
But then
I
Daniel
don't
didn't take it, so it's fine.
we'll just say the compensation is the 5 additional years, right? And then we'll give him a normal sentencing now.
Exactly. Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
That's fair.
I think
Wait, so what's
I
happening
believe.
with the-
I don't. Okay, so basically, you're not gonna give me 5 additional months because of the unfair sentence.
Because the first one was an unfair sentencing.
But it's
So-
not. I think we should take off the amount of months that we should have gave him. Like we should have gave him. So
how much-
let's
how much
just
should you
say
have gave
in the
him?
situ we gave him 10, right?
That's
Yeah.
like 5 months. Because he should have
If we
received.
had- No, I said 7. I would have given him 7.
That's not.
No, but
And then you
Why?
you take off 3 and you'd add 2.
no, but we would give him. I would have given him 5 because he was just in the thing. He never cooked.
You weren't the
And-
judge. I was.
Yeah, but you said you would
But
have.
it's still Angel's choice to decide of this.
Yeah,
this
because
court.
That's true.
think about it. I know you. He was just in the group. He didn't do anything in the group. He was just in the group.
So
Yeah,
8 months.
5
It's
months would have
back
been
down to 8
fair.
months.
So,
It's back down to 8
yeah,
months.
so I'm thinking. Let me put
Okay,
the
no,
9.
Angel, you said multiple times yourself that you would regularly give me 8 months, and then Jack brought up the point that I committed the thing again, and you brought up the point that
Yeah,
I
he said
should get
regularly. Like the
compensation.
first time he would have gave you 8 months.
No, he said regularly now, and then he said that. Then he said that he would give me 5 additional months on top of that, but now that because of the previous court case, so it
But then he just
it
changed
goes
his
back
mind.
down
He
to
just
8.
changed his mind. No, he just changed his mind.
Okay. He changed his
Shut
mind to
up,
9.
shut up. Just put it. Just Jack. Does 9 months seem fair to you?
The court is trapped.
Oh, let's go, Gavin.
I'm thinking the 9 months is pretty fair. Gavin, in your opinion, do you think giving him 9 months is fair for jail
Well,
time?
Gavin doesn't know all the context.
If you didn't take any time off for compensation, how much would that be? That would be
It would be
10?
14.
It'd be
14.
14, yeah.
How about we push it instead of 9 months to 1 year because of the criminal record, but the bail compensates for the month. So however more months, it doesn't count towards the bail. The bail is still 9 months, but he gets sentenced to 12.
That sounds pretty fair. Jack, do you agree with this?
Yeah.
Alright, so how much time should I give you?
We just
Bruh,
said,
bruh.
No, I think he means
Sentence with 12 months and then bail of 9 months. So that's the court of law right now, and
okay.
the court's dismissed.
How many is it? It's 9 months.
It's
Okay.
9 blocks.
So it'd be 9 netherite blocks.
Or 90 diamond blocks. Okay.
/ 90 diamond blocks.
90 diamond blocks.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, obviously our plan of 6 stacks of diamonds didn't go according to plan and I was kicked from the government, but at least I was able to pay bail. Secondly, for some reason Jack thought Matthew was my buyer, even though he had just as much, if not more, of a reason to think that Matthew was making drugs as well. This got me mad since the whole thing was Matthew's idea, and Matthew even committed more crimes than me since he had made double the amount of potions, yet wasn't being prosecuted. So in the heat of the moment, I tried getting them to check Matthew's files and think about Matthew as much as me, which I definitely shouldn't have done looking back since we were partners, but it didn't really matter matter since they literally did nothing about it anyways. I still think the court case went pretty well since Nick did a good job as my lawyer, and even though I had to pay more than I was really supposed to, Angel still made the money doable and he did me a big favor, so I appreciate him for that. Then a few weeks went by and they were still doing literally nothing about Matthew, and it was kind of pissing me off. Then I remembered how Matthew burnt down my house, which burnt everything in it, including my pets, and he technically received no consequence for it since he blackmailed the government into adding him back to the server a few months after he was banned. So I decided to get revenge on his ass and completely stitch on him to Gavin. This included that he made double the amount of illegal potions that I made and that the business was his idea. So it helped Jack and Gavin prosecute Matthew further, but I asked Gavin not to bring this up in court so Matthew didn't know I snitched. After I told Gavin this, he announced Matthew's court case in the server to me when Jack recovers from his cold. So it seemed as though Matthew would finally receive his consequences. After a week, Jack felt better and Gavin tried doing the case, but Matthew kept delaying in the server. He told me that he was doing this on purpose because he felt like it, and I decided to send this to Gavin so his case would happen before Luke was able to get us the money. Speaking of Luke, one day I called Luke a pedo as a joke. This made him mad and he told me that he was taking 100 diamond blocks off our deal because of it. This is when I knew it was time to make fake screenshots and finally frame Luke. His deadline was in less than 2 weeks anyway, so it was very unlikely that he would get the money regardless of the price. So I got to work and made up a story where Luke wanted to start up the drug business again with me and Angel, and he tried getting me to cook while he got the materials. I got Matthew to put some materials in an underground chest, and I would put those cords in the fake DMs, so it would basically be proof that Luke was out of jail. All it took was a day, Photoshop, and inspect element, and the screenshots were done and they looked very believable. The only things that were off about them were that they had a weird tint to them because I had to screenshot the messages lots of times, which ended up messing with the filter. And in one of the messages, Luke says, "I'm deleting this group chat now," yet the date says March 1st, so it clearly took Luke a couple days to delete the group chat. But those problems were only noticeable to Jack or Gavin if they really looked into it, so I thought I was safe. But before I sent them to Jack, Gavin tried getting Matthew to decide on a time, and if he didn't, then he would go to jail without trial, and he didn't respond. Thankfully, he looked at Discord later on and they decided to do it the next day. Back to the screenshots, I sent them to Jack, and he responded by saying that he was taking me to court for lying to Luke about being in the business instead of taking Luke to court for, trying to start another drug empire. This scared me for a second until he told me he was joking, which relieved me a lot, since I had a feeling that Jack would think they were fake from the start. Well, anyways, Matthew went to court the next day, like I said.
Okay, so, I'm gonna be honest, I have the footage for Matthew's court case, but, there's really no point in showing it because, first of all, I recorded it, right after I set up my PC. And OBS, it automatically sets the default file to MKV, and I didn't realize that, so yeah, it's not an MP4 and I can't put it into Premiere right now, so I kind of have to convert it, and it's taking forever to convert in this one website. And anyways, I'm literally muted in the video and I'm talking most of the time, so there's you probably wouldn't even be able to understand any of it. And I'm not even gonna lie, nothing notable happened in the court case. It was literally Gavin saying, "You made the potions," and then it was Matthew saying, "No, I didn't," and then Gavin was like, "Oh, according to this, you should be going to jail for whatever," and then Gavin messages me, he's like, "Can I use the stuff you told me?" And then I'm like, "No." And then he's like, "Okay, we're rescheduling," and then that was literally it. Nothing happened, so yeah.
After this court case, it was apparent that the government had fallen apart and really didn't care about the server anymore, since they didn't even have anything to go off of, and Gavin had to ask permission to say what I told him in court. While they continued to do nothing about Matthew, they also didn't do anything about the screenshots I sent them of Luke literally trying to start a drug business. The 2 times I did that, I got 19 months total of jail, yet when Luke does it, he isn't even brought to court. I asked Nick, who was added to the government after my court case, to try to get me info on what they were doing with Luke, but Jack never even answered Nick when he asked. I remember when Elias literally destroyed the court? Yeah, they never did anything about that either. The government was really pissing me off, and this was making me remember an idea that Matthew had a few months ago, which was that we would overtake the government if we got caught, and I was starting to want to go along with it. Since we got caught and still made no money, this would be really the only thing we could gain from our drug business. Plus, it would be really easy to do. If we got more people on our side, then the only way we would lose is if Jack bans us or uses his operator powers against us. We pushed this idea aside because we didn't think we'd be able to do it, but a few days later I went back to it because the government still wasn't doing anything about it, and I really wanted something to happen. Me and Matthew decided to start our own nation and take over the government through that nation. We also would be able to get lots of people since the government was practically non-existent by this point, so everyone would be more likely to side with the criminals now than they were back when I was president. The next day we continued to plan, but I talked to Luke and he told me that he went back into his sub because the server was dead anyways, and St. Patrick's Day was in 3 days, so there was no way he was getting the money. So now all we had left to do was take over the government. I had a feeling that it was going to be hard to get Vlad and Spack to join the nation, so I made a plan where I would make fake screenshots of Discord DMs of Jack and Gavin admitting that they destroyed Spack's house, which would make them both really really mad and decided to rebel against the government as well. And if I could trick Jack and Gavin with fake screenshots, then no offense to Vlad and Spack, but I could definitely trick them. Looking back on this plan, it was actually a really solid plan that I honestly could have used earlier with Spack to get him to buy the potions, since he could have used the potions to get revenge on Jack and Gavin. Matthew made up a name for our nation, which was Britannia, which I didn't really like that much, but I couldn't think of anything better, so that was the name for now. Then I made a chart of everyone we wanted to draft and their skill set based on smarts, skill, and interest. Spack was by far the best overall, but Steven and Elias were also pretty high, so they would be the three with the highest ranks besides me and Matthew. We decided that Anthony and Nick could make the plan since they were the smartest but weren't really good and didn't have much interest. The next day I made the server and invited everyone that I wanted, and it was looking good. We had me, Matthew, Elias, Steven, Nick, and Angel. Me and Matthew were generals, Elias was the major general, Nick was the major, Steven was the brigade. How the fuck do you say that? Me and Matthew were generals, Elias was the major general, Nick was the major, Steven was the brigadier, and Angel was the lieutenant colonel. Steven was the brigadier and Angel was the lieutenant colonel. Now that we had at least the majority of our nation, we had to start making moves against the government, so Matthew decided to steal the government funds since I knew where they were and since Jack and Gavin didn't give a shit and they never moved them. So Matthew took them but didn't tell anyone where they were because he thought someone would take them. He told me that it was under the nether portal in Gamerland, so at least me and him could share the money. While our nation seemed like it was doing very well, we had 6 people, we were already plotting schemes, and it seemed like we would eventually win this war and take over. Until a few hours later when the realm expired, and Jack casually announced that he was done paying for it. So yeah, all of that. All of our hard work. Me and Matthew's hours and hours and hours of work for absolutely nothing. Honestly, I should have seen this coming since barely anyone had been playing in the last 3 months anyways, but it was still really disappointing because we put so much work into this business and nation, all for Jack to stop paying. And you might be wondering, is this where the story ends? And the answer is pretty much yes, but some slight things happened that I'll briefly go over. A few months after Chef died, Vlad DM'd me and told me that we should make a new SMP with a different seed, which I thought was a pretty good idea, so I proposed it to Jack and he agreed. We had a huge election on the Discord server between the names Wham SMP and Buzz SMP, until Steven randomly sent an image of Anthony, which made me think of Pasta SMP, and everyone agreed that it was a way better name, so Pasta SMP it was. The SMP started right after school ended, so it seemed like we might finally have an SMP that reaches a peak like Chef did. Gavin, Evan, and Joshua made a town called Buzztown, which was named after Buzz SMP, which was joined by me, Jack, Luke, and Nick. But not even a week after the SMP started, Spack decided to completely destroy our town, which caused us to move over 10,000 blocks away, and after this, the server died for months. But a few months later, right before the realm expired, Joshua and Gavin rebuilt the whole town because Jack said that he would pay for it again if they could build the whole town in a few days, which they did. After this, they made a Discord server for the town, which we're all in, plus Matthew. But it looks like the server died again since nobody's playing it at all besides Joshua and Gavin, and even they don't play too often. So I hate to say it, but Pasta SMP will probably be dead by the time this video comes out, which leads me to believe that we'll never have a Minecraft SMP be as big as Chef was during his peak. Okay, so small update on this. It's kind of been a month since I recorded this audio, and I don't really know when this video is coming out. Hopefully it comes out before the end of the year. Originally the goal was before Christmas, but it's December 23rd as I'm recording this audio. So, yeah, that's probably not gonna happen. But anyways, in the last month, the server honestly has been revived a little bit. Jack, he stopped paying for it, but then Gavin paid Jack to pay for it, so now I guess that's what's gonna happen. And now I have a law firm, and Matthew's playing a lot, Gavin's playing a lot, Luke's playing a lot, Joshua's playing a lot. Not like Chef a lot, but like more than how Chef was when it died. So, hey, we might have another SMP, I don't know, but yeah, that's the update. Pasta is not dead. Why did you create the business with me?
It would be funny, and I needed money.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same exact reason I have. Why did you decide to join our business?
Well, I guess I really didn't have much to do on the server at that point because we were all just kind of like not doing a ton. We were just kind of hanging out for the most part.
Oh, it's because I'm a descendant of Pablo Escobar.
How much did you care about everything going on legally and business-wise?
I did not give 2 shits, bro. It was all for the funny.
Okay.
Well, first thing is I found it pretty funny. I think I really like got more into it after Luke's whole court case because that is where like it really started picking off.
I can't answer that question because I'm not trying to get into federal trouble in Chef SMP.
Chef SMP doesn't exist anymore.
They still don't know I was a part of it.
Yeah, they do. I'm making a video about it.
Oh.
That's why I'm asking you these questions.
I would say about like a 5. I was trying to make money.
How did you feel about being a lawyer instead of being a part of the business before our second business was made?
I mean, I guess I found it alright because like I was kind of like in between on both ends because like nobody knew I was really part of it. So it was like
you know, even after you and Luke got caught, like, no one still said anything, so people just still assumed I was okay, so I could somewhat do some lying.
Thoughts on Luke snitching?
I thought that was pretty rude. You don't really do that to your business partner. Plus, because it also put not just you in a bad spot, it put Luke in an even bad spot.
I kind of knew, so it was like whatever.
Well, because you saw me deleting the screenshots or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were being kind of snotty about it, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, fuck you, I'm bringing you down too. But you paid off your jail time, so it effectively did nothing.
No, wait, what does being a snotty mean? Can you please give a definition?
You were being a bitch about it.
I don't like Luke very much for that.
I agree.
Honestly?
Did you suspect I was up to anything before I got caught the first or second time?
I logged on to help you with the mall, right?
Uh-huh.
And I saw you and Matthew in the same spot. And I would have checked if Matthew didn't mention, like, a cave. I thought you were just mining. I probably should have thought, like, because you and Matthew never played together. So I probably should have thought that, but I saw you building out of there. That, corner spot, right? I don't have a recording.
Wait, so you checked, like, right after we logged off? Or, like...
Nope. I think something happened, like, me and Jack were talking about it, and I was like, you know what? I did see Matthew and Daniel in the same spot once. You want to go dig down and see what that was about?
Why were you guys talking about me and Matthew, like, being on together?
I don't remember. I'm gonna be real with you. I think Jack was using replay mod, and then he found it into there or something. It was either that or the first one. I can't remember.
No, Gavin, like in line to me one day. He was like, I think Daniel was doing something. I keep seeing him and stuff. I was like, oh, okay. And I kind of caught on once he like said something to me about it.
Why did you decide to start up the drug business with me?
I was bored, and Breaking Bad's cool, you know?
Yeah, those are two very good points. How much did you care about everything going on with the business, like, legally and business-wise? Like, how much?
I didn't really care that much, but it was fun.
How did you feel about SPAC basically, being the reason you got kicked from the business?
I just was like, okay. Like, I kind of understood where he was coming from, but if you trusted me, then I don't know why he didn't trust me.
Yeah, like, obviously he was like, oh, he's gonna snitch. I was like, no, he's not. What are your thoughts on SPAC only allowing me to sell to him and never paying us?
I don't know why he only wanted you to do it. Like, he knew other people knew, right?
No, he didn't.
Oh, him never paying is kind of not cool, yeah.
Why did you agree to me and Matthew breaking you out and buying our potions in return?
Because I would just run like a million blocks away and you'd never find me.
Yeah, but then... Oh, did I ever tell you about the fake screenshots I made?
No.
When did you realize that Matthew also cooks? Because I remember in the court case, Jack, he was saying that Matthew was, like, you and him thought Matthew was, like, my buyer, and I was so confused by that. So, like, when did you realize that he cooked?
I think that was Jack's opinion, because when I saw him down there, I was like, dude, it's Matthew's definitely part of that.
I don't remember who. Somebody admitted it, though. I was like, oh, shit.
I think that was me.
Yeah. You gave him out. I was like, oh, okay.
Did you suspect that anyone else was involved with the business at all, like, besides, like, I guess both businesses?
I figured there couldn't just be like a cartel with no buyers, so yeah, I definitely thought somebody else was like at least involved, if not.
Did you think anybody specifically?
Sounded kind of suspicious to me.
Why? Because he was my lawyer?
Yeah. He seemed too innocent to not be a part of it.
How did you feel about my court case?
Oh, it was funny. I was kind of stressed though.
I think I blundered and I set the bail to the one you wanted, and I should have realized you wanted that so you could bail yourself out, you know.
Yeah.
So I was... I probably should have done it in another way, but I thought that was pretty good for them.
What did you think of the fake DMs I made of Luke? Like the ones where he was like, he broke out of jail and shit?
I don't know. I didn't like really pay much attention to them, so I was like, damn, that's something Luke would do, honestly.
Did you ever check the chords that he put in, that we put in there?
No.
I had Matthew like just put like a bunch of materials in some chest underground at those coordinates.
Bro.
Would you do it again?
Probably not, because like the same thing is probably gonna happen. They won't actually end up buying it, and we'll do all that work for nothing.
So before I decide which person was most similar to a certain character in Breaking Bad, I have to evaluate Breaking Bad characters first. In my businesses, there was always someone who did one specific job, but it wasn't always like that in Breaking Bad. Now, I think we can agree that Walt was the main cook of Breaking Bad. Even though Jesse helped him cook, Walt was always the brains behind it, and it was always his main job since he never sold. I think I'm definitely the Walt of the business, since I cooked 500 potions and was also sort of the brains behind everything. I also acted like Walt in some situations, like when I tried to get Luke out of the business for good by getting Angel to snitch and pretending to magically find his secret lab. But I'll admit that I did act like this because I had just finished Breaking Bad, and if you've seen the show, you know how Walt is in Season 5. Throughout all 5 seasons, I wouldn't say there's a definitive material getter. In the first 2 seasons, it's mostly Jesse. In Seasons 3 and 4, it's Gus. And in Season 5, it's Walt, Jesse, and Mike. But I'd go with Gus overall because he supplied materials for most of the show. But this doesn't mean that Matthew was Gus, because Matthew also cooked just as much as me, so I would say he was most similar to Jesse. I believe that the Gus of the business was Angel, since in the first wave of the business, he got the materials and was supposed to sell, which were 2 things that Gus did. And if you think about it, Angel was really the only person to ever actually buy off us, and Gus technically bought off Walt and Jesse, so I would definitely say Angel was Gus. When it comes to Luke, if you really think about it, literally the only noteworthy thing he did was snitch, so I'm not even going to give Luke a character because he doesn't deserve one. If you're watching Luke, fuck you. Anyways, Nick was obviously Saw, even though he was really supposed to sell, he never got to. I would say Spack was most similar to Tuco, because like Tuco, Spack was originally supposed to make us a lot of money, but that didn't end well at all. And for Gavin and Jack, they were obviously Hank and Gomi, since they were the cops trying to catch us this whole time. But looking back on this empire, it just shows the message that Breaking Bad was trying to spread this whole time. Drugs just cause problems. Pretty much the only thing I gained from this experience was a fire video and a fun time with Matthew. Everything else went to shit. Which brings me to the conclusion of this video, where I pose a question. Did my actions destroy the server? Do you think our actions destroyed the server? Do you think my actions our actions destroyed Chef SMP?
Yes, definitely.
I guess, cause you stopped playing and then nobody really cared.
Yeah, 100%.
Actually, I don't think it was our fault because the government shouldn't really care and it was not that big of a deal.
No one was playing anyway and it was dying.
No, it was long. It was already destroyed before we started.
I think they did, but it's strange how they did. I think my business with Luke killed the server way more than my business with Matthew. But we're gonna have to go back so I can fully explain this. So Chef SMP was very popular around the time it started in summer 2021. But after Matthew was arrested, his popularity definitely decreased a bit. The server stayed more inactive for the next 6 months until lots of people like Angel, Nick, Elias, and Steven were added. Around April and May, lots of things were happening in the town, like the election, war, new government, new shops, people being released from prison, and much more, which is why this part of the SMP was so popular and fresh. This is what I'm going to call the Chef Golden Age, which was from March to July of 2022. But the peak of Chef was definitely the election and war in May. The server's popularity started to slowly go down in July when the town was destroyed and we falsely accused Steven. Even though Matthew was caught soon after, this definitely did a bit of damage to the popularity, but nothing terrible. I think the server really started dying in October when we tried and failed to have another war, which ended up with Angel stealing Luke and Gavin's stuff and getting banned. This plus school starting up again definitely was making this server lose popularity. It was at the same level as it was in 2021, I'd say. But 2 months later when me and Luke were caught, this was the last straw and the server officially died after this. Now you might be wondering why, since all that happened on the surface was that me and Luke were convicted of conspiracy to manufacture narcotics. How could that be detrimental? Well, the main reason is because it put Luke in jail and ruined his reputation. Ever since the server started, Luke had been respected on the server because of everything he did for the town. Even if he was convicted for burning down Gavin's house and clowned a lot on him for losing court cases, he was still a big person in the town. But this was the nail in the coffin for Luke. This made him go from respected to seen as one of the biggest criminals on the server. Also, him being in jail for 10 months did not help the player count at all, especially since he was one of the main people that played. Speaking of that, I was also convicted, and even though I paid my bail, I wasn't president for a few days. And in those few days, Jack let the town become a ghetto and let Steven and his friend completely destroy the town. Like I said earlier, last time the town was destroyed, the popularity did go down a bit, with this happening again along with everything with Luke and Steven being arrested, who was also one of the active people on the server, really killed Chef in my opinion. Me and Matthew's business didn't really do anything since the damage was already done. There was really nothing else to kill it. It was already dead. So do I feel responsible for killing the server? No, I think Luke is definitely to blame. If Luke never snitched, then Chef would have at least gone till summer of 2023, possibly even now. But I still am to blame a little bit, since I'm the one who tried getting Luke a bigger sentence, and I'm the one who made this business in the first place. So do I regret what I did? And the answer to that is also no, because it led me to do business with Matthew, which was honestly one of the most fun and tense things I ever experienced on the server. Even though Chef is dead now, and if it came back, nobody would probably play it. We all have to give it credit for how much fun it was. I honestly don't know what I would have been doing in middle school if the server never existed. It made for some of the most fun memories I've had with my friends to this day. So I'm going to end this video off with a little tribute to the server. Thanks for watching.
nice walls.
It's nice, walls, Luke.
I surrender.
Yeah. No. Do not take that. Oh, you took it. Okay.
With our imagination. Because with our imagination, we can do it.
Oh, I think I'm just gonna leave.
Ah!
Oh, go that body.
Nick! G Junior. G Junior. Oh my god. Angel, what? What are you doing, Angel?
Bro, what are you doing?
Like it
Bro, because, oh my.
That was moving.
Bro, he's catching up to you, bro. Oh, bro, actually, get away from the water. Get away from the water, Anthony. Oh, no, no, no. Oh.
No.
Alright, back to Luke.
Also, Angel, 3 netherite.
Yeah, yo, Angel, 3 netherite.
I don't think there should be any more court.
No, you're
Alright, Matthew, you're unmuted now.
It was Luke, it was Luke, it was Luke, it was Luke.
My name is djthegamer 5000. I live on the Gregos and Gulf from the tall wooden box.